an independent woman, a blessing or a curse? Let's get into it.
We go dum 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 dum.
Hey YouTube, it's me, Christiana. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to When in Doubt Pink. Okay, so I have been thinking a lot about a lot of things. Okay, I've also I'm really turning into an auntie. Like, I'm turning into an auntie without no damn nieces and nephews. Okay. The older I get, okay, you know, your girl's 32, okay, she's, you know, in her early 30s, and I keep running into these like younger women, and I have some young women in my life who come to me with certain questions or thoughts and opinions that they want from me, and that kind of like led me to this space right now where I just want to have like an open conversation. So this is like an open forum. If you have thoughts and opinions, do chime in, do give your thoughts, do give your experiences. Like, let's have a conversation. If you're like one of these weird internet people that like ends up finding this, please, this is not, it's not giving that at all. Okay, I wanted to give my thoughts on just like the concept of an independent woman. I want to talk about my own independence as a woman. I want to talk about all the things, and I know that this is definitely gonna hit the spot for some young ladies. Yeah, okay, so let's get into it. I'm gonna be doing my hair. I am probably gonna end up just like prepping it in this video for my sew-in that I'm doing. I got these like 5 bundles of this like super nice curly hair. I got them on Amazon. Wasn't that much money, which makes me have questions about how human this hair really is, but we won't see, because once it's all installed, I plan to like blow it out, so it's not gonna look like this for long. I want it to be kind of like fro-y, kind of like my own hair, you know. And before you ask, I obviously I have a head full of hair, but the life of an activist, okay, you are constantly having to decide what you do and don't have time for when you when you're like moving about life, and that changes all the time. Sometimes I have capacity to be like ripping and doing my own hair all the time, and then like a season such as now, I just don't, right? And so I do protective styling to honestly protect my hair from me. The busier I get, the less likely I am to take my time with my hair or put in the proper care that it like definitely deserves, because it is coming along, you know. It is coming along. So I'm gonna get into my hair. I'm not gonna be giving a ton of details about that, but yeah, let's get into it. Because it's just not an interest of mine to pretend like I know everything about everything, okay? I often like to kind of phrase the things that I'm thinking about in the form of questions. And so if you hear a question and you have thoughts about it, go ahead and like chime in. I'm trying to figure out if my edges are too long to be doing what I'm trying to do. We're doing the flip over method, and I've never done that before. I'm also going to be looking at my computer because that is where all my notes are. So would you say that it is a good thing or a bad thing to be independent? And what does being independent mean in the context of like the past and the present? I have thoughts. I think I've said in some of my other videos that I've been watching Bridgerton lately. And so thinking about what it means to be an independent woman in the context of the past is actually very fresh on my mind. And it's weird to think like that there was a point in time in which, as a woman, you couldn't really step outside without a male escort, right? Fast forward even some more, it wasn't even that long ago from today that as a woman you could not get a credit card without your husband or male person in your life's permission. And it's still, I don't even think it was yours, it was theirs that they allowed you to use, which, you know, a whole thing. And so I think that with that context kind of out there, I think a lot of those women of the past would consider women of today like extremely independent, right? We're really doing the damn thing, doing the thing that a lot of them like fought for us to be able to have, or like died wondering if we would ever get to this point. And so in that regard, it is really interesting to think about like how far we've come, and we've come pretty damn far. Is that good or bad? Obviously, as a woman, I'm biased and I'm always gonna say thank goodness, right? But then again, there are a lot of women, like if you go find that Abby woman on this platform, she'll probably say something different. But speaking for myself, right, my ability to only have to depend on myself in the context of 2024 has ultimately been my blessing. If I had to depend on other people or felt like I had to, you know, I think I would have been dead in the water a long time ago in so many ways. I just remembered one more thing I kind of wanted to jot down for us while we're talking about this. You know, and I don't think I have a whole lot to say about it, but it is really funny the way that things today can be so acceptable and praised, and then tomorrow it could be a totally different thing when it comes to that very same idea. I also started thinking about, what do I want to do? I started thinking about all of the songs, especially like in the early 2000s, I want to say, that was really praising the concept of an independent woman. You know what that means. She got her own house, she got her own car, right? All those little songs. Neo was out here getting it, and nobody really looked down on that. It was like a thing to be praised for this period of time. And then you fast forward to today, and you have like all the like podcast bros and stuff like that who really try to like shame women for the very thing that their like uncles and older cousins and whoever else used to think was a good thing, or at least they could appreciate that they were in community with women who were just very independent out there getting it, right?
A strong, independent woman means that she's combative, she's rude, she doesn't need your help, she's not gonna submit, she's this. But really, independent just means, when we talk about it, well, what does independent mean to you? A lot of people will say, well, she needs to have her own car, she needs to have her own money, she needs to be able to take care of herself. An adult, and a functional human being. Like, an independent person that, if me and Rico are in a relationship, of course I need you, in a way, right? I love the way Rico cooks. He cooks so well. Every Friday he cooks for me. But if Rico were to say, hey, I don't want to with you no more, would I not eat that Friday?
It feels like a scam. When I started to think about maybe some of the bad, I thought a lot about how being, or actually not even being, coming across, being perceived, right, as an independent person, and the dangers that can sometimes present, or the loneliness that can sometimes present, depending on the situation or who you're dealing with or whatever it is.
If you see a hardworking woman you interested in her, don't come over there with no money. Do not come over there with no money. Do not come over there with no plan, because you wasting her time. You wasting her time. If you see a hardworking woman on her shit, just leave her alone if you ain't got nothing to offer but some dick and fun. Because that girl got a lot of shit she invested in, especially her energy. She already got to be an alpha female. So if you're not coming to make her life soft, make her life easier, leave that girl alone. I'm not speaking for the women who just out here want to be taken care of. I have nothing against them. I'm speaking for the hardworking women. She already got to catch up on the goals. She got to pay bills. She got to maintain her life, stay fit, take care of her mental. She got to do a lot. So if you're not ready for a hardworking woman, leave her alone. It's a lot of women out here who just want to be taken care of. I'm speaking for the hardworking women. If you coming over there, you got to be a man with a plan. You got to be ready to invest. You got to be ready to spend some money or add to something. But you can't come over there empty-handed just slinging dick. Even if you got money, if you not, your intentions not pure, leave that girl alone. Don't. If you see a hardworking woman, be ready to spend some money.
For somebody who can't braid their own hair, I'm actually doing pretty well. I cannot braid my own hair, child. I could do it for other people, you know, when I used to work in the salon, but you know, we try. Anywho, I've found throughout my life that people are less likely to want to help when they feel like you got it. Even if that's not actually the case, you just look like you got it. The next question I wrote while just kind of brainstorming about this, I wrote, which is more privileged? Being an independent woman or being a dependent Black woman? Think about that for a second. Which is more privileged? Being an independent woman, generally, or being a dependent Black woman? One thing that has always kind of frustrated me in the Black gender war space, right, online, is that there always feels like there's like a lack of compassion when it comes to Black women being a little hard at times, maybe being hyper independent at times, right? With no real context attached to like how we got to this space, you know? The sun is doing a thing, I can see it. There's no real context being put out there like as to even how we got to this space and why we tend to operate differently than other groups of women. You already know I'm about to start talking about slavery. Chill. Historically, just like women as a whole, right, have a set of histories and stories and, you know, things to be proud of, again, as a whole, right? And then there are the trials and strides and wins of specifically Black women that also have their just like their own like subheader or whatever. And I think about this a lot because historically Black women haven't had a ton of room to sit still or like sit in our femininity. I hate that. I hate it, but it is true. Like from the fields to even after we got off the fields, Black women have always had to work. Black women have always had to push and pull their own weight. Black women have always had to bring home the bacon alongside their partners. Like it was illegal for us to not have a job. Especially, you know, when some of our like partners, husbands, whatever, like started to actually bring home enough money that we could stay home, and then there was no one to watch a lot of the white women's children. It is what it is, you know, I'm not trying to be funny. And then we were like forced to go back to work. We were always working. And I think that's why I also give so much grace to the idea of the trad wife, Black women getting into the trad wife trend or the soft life trend. Although I will say you have to be careful with some of that stuff because there is like an alt-right pipeline that you could find in some of those spaces, and you have to be careful about that. But I understand the need or the desire to want to fucking relax, to sit down for a minute, okay? Shit, I'm tired. I'm ready to retire right now. At the great age of 32, I wish I could retire, but that ain't happening no time soon. There have also been some conversations about going to college for your MRS. Basically like going to college to find your husband. That in the back days and even today, there are still tons of women who go to college with the intention to find a man, okay? To lock a man down. I don't hate it. Like, you know, I find that it's easier to like find guys and date guys and stuff like in these safe spaces, high school or work or college, in these safe spaces where you can learn who they are as a person and then decide that you like them or whatever it is. I don't hate it. But the idea of going to college, especially in 2024, but the sole purpose of finding a partner is crazy. With these student loans, okay? Maybe that shit was cute back in the day, but with these student loans, okay? And then, just like I was just saying, you know, there are a lot of differences and privileges where, like, Black women, which were like one of the most educated groups in the country, Black women cannot risk, okay? Cannot risk going to college to bullshit around trying to find a man, okay? If you do, you know, that's a plus. I gotta take this one out too, because I think I want to make 2 braids in the middle and then go outward, because I want a middle part and I want to make sure I get that. But yeah, like, you know, a lot of us, especially today, are going to college to lift ourselves up out of the situations that we have grown up in, to make our dreams come true, because it is okay to have a dream. You know, again, lift ourselves up out of poverty, we hope. Again, these student loans are choking us. To just generally make something of our lives. And if you find a man while you're there, then great. But Black women can't, we just don't have the privilege to go into an academic space for the purposes of finding a man. A man that's gonna put you on the bench, and you're not gonna be putting that degree to work no way. I could tell you a story or two, I've seen it. And I really wanted to bring that up, the whole like college thing, because that is another one of those, I guess, bullets, I'll just say, that are often thrown at Black women. Because we are like a highly educated group in the country. A lot of us are like not married, right? But also that's the same for like Black men. A lot of Black men are not married either. And we know that a lot of Black women are very race loyal, and you know, it is what it is. So just a lot of unmarriedness happening, and I think that's okay, because I actually feel like marriage is not the end all be all. But like, if you desire to have a life partner, then you should be able to do that, period. Given the cards that I have been dealt in my own life, moving as an independent woman, independent person, is the best thing that my mother, who was also an independent woman for the most part, because she was married and, you know, at different times, but as an independent woman herself, making it happen for her children, like teaching me that, and allowing me to have independence as a very young person is a gift. And embracing that is the best thing I could have ever done for myself. I would also say it has helped me to be a better adult than maybe I could have been in another world. I wonder if it's gonna rain. My independence has allowed me to feel in control of my own destiny. I had a conversation with someone very close to me where I was kind of just like giving them a pep talk, and I was like, look, don't ever ever allow anybody, any entity, any social setting, any job, nothing to decide what happens to you. Nothing. You decide what happens to you, and if you can keep that here, you will be okay. You will get through anything. And that is something I have had to learn the hard way. Because in my early 20s, I was very trusting. You know, I'm a loyal spirit naturally, you know, and I found myself being ready to jump off the side of the earth in a couple of situations, and I had to learn the hard way, you know. Even when you're taking risks, you need to always make sure that you are thinking about your backup plan. Your backup plan for your backup plan. Nobody's gonna be responsible for you like you. You have you. And if I had found myself waiting around for somebody's approval or go ahead, I would probably still be waiting in some of those situations.
There are things you should ask your friends for, and obviously there are things that it's nice to reach out and get a helping hand. But then there are a lot of fucking other things that you can do on your own, and you don't need to make everyone else's problem. I feel like you should exhaust all possible options of doing it yourself before you reach out to other people. Because to me, we are all fucking in the trenches. Even when we're having great weeks, you're still going through it. We all have these things in our life. And like for other people to just add something to your list when you have so much going on, and then you want to be a good person, so you're like, oh, I can help you. But like, you shouldn't feel like you always need to help other people because they can't help themselves.
I'm going to run that back and make it my ringtone, my alarm, because I have so much difficulty with doing that. And that's why I end up in spaces where people do not exhaust all their resources. They come right to me.
By going after and really just like seizing opportunities on my own, I've always been able to ensure that my future is in my hands and not in anyone else's, period. I'd say also this teaches you a lot about resilience. When you get knocked down, get your ass back up, because nobody's gonna do it for you the way that you're gonna do it for you. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles in this world. I think the last thing I want to just say on this little piece too is like, okay, so I mentioned in my monthly roundup video for June that, you know, I had a couple of wins recently, like at work, and a lot of these wins would not have existed had I not made them exist in these different areas. I have created my own path, right, that wasn't there before. It does take a little bit of independence to be able to do that, to create paths where there are none. So that maybe even the future people, young people, I'm an auntie for real, oh my God. So that young people coming forward after you, coming in after you, might not even have to have such a hard time creating space for themselves, creating a lane for themselves, whatever it is. It's okay for people after you to actually have an easier time than you did. For whatever reason, I feel like societally, we be wanting people to suffer so bad. We be wanting everybody to get it out the mud so bad. And actually, like, I don't feel that way. I think it's okay for people that come after you to have an easier time than you did. Especially when you think about the context of the ancestors and a lot of the hell that a lot of them went through, so that some of us could just walk down the street in peace. This piece is specifically for the young person who asked. So I just want to give, I guess, a few tips or things that I've just was thinking about as to like how to show up more independently. So if you feel like you got that on lock and you're just here for the general conversation, maybe you skip ahead, maybe you stay. But I think for me, right, what has helped me, or one of the things that has helped me, is like becoming laser focused on my goals. Setting the goals, right? I've been, you know, I'm gonna be open and honest. I've been struggling a little bit as far as like my personal goals go, you know, generally. But I will say that like when it comes to my work goals, I am like a hawk, okay? Capricorn. I'm laser sharp on my fucking, you know, work goals and giving myself grace on the other parts of my life that need a little work, right? Grace is also the key. But I do think that like if you have a goal in mind, if you have a life you'd like to obtain or reach or whatever it is, right, writing it down, making your goals clear, figuring out how you can achieve that, what are the steps to get that done, and then becoming like laser sharp on it until you hit the finish line. That is kind of the formula for every accomplishment I've ever been able to hit, period. What is it gonna take for you to hit the finish line? What are the obstacles? Like thinking about it all. And there is a level of discipline that has to come in, right? Managing your time. Sometimes it means you sit out. Maybe it means you're not always in the mix or having fun or whatever. Again, giving yourself grace for the times where you just need a break, but also knowing when to get back to it. I think teaching myself the most essential life skills, right, has been very helpful to me throughout my journey. figuring out ways and avenues to learn more things. I said to you guys before, I'm someone who does not have a college degree, and that has not stopped me at all. Has not stopped me, because I am self-taught in a lot of different areas, and I mean, even this platform that I'm talking to you on has been essential to where I am today. I work as a communication specialist for a really large labor union. Everyone on my team except for me has a college degree, but I showed up confidently and competently because I taught myself everything I needed to know to be able to do that job efficiently, okay? Period. And you know, sometimes that costs money. Sometimes, you know, you're getting yourself a Skillshare subscription, or you know, maybe you're taking a course, a Google course, or whatever it is. Sometimes there's a little bit of investment, but if it's gonna get you to the finish line, then that's what you need to be doing. Period. In the spirit of talking about being self-taught, having self-accountability, being able to admit when you're wrong, when you don't know something, being able to admit your faults, just generally taking responsibility for your actions goes a long way. Goes a long way. And honestly, there's something just really respectful, in my personal opinion, right, to be around somebody who can admit when they're wrong, can admit that they don't know every goddamn thing, can admit that they need help from someone else, can admit that they are not the end-all be-all, the expert at a thing, right? Those kinds of people, okay, those are the real MVPs. People who are not afraid to be seen trying, or not afraid to take a back seat to let somebody who's more skilled or more qualified or more whatever to do their thing. And I say all that because, like, you know, as a more independent individual, we are constantly teaching ourselves things all the time, and you got to admit that you don't know the thing to be able to learn a thing or two. Does that make sense? Let me know. Oof, I'm not gonna braid my kitchen up. I'm not doing that. She gotta be free. Now, I know that this whole thing thus far has been like me just kind of yammering on my thoughts of like being an independent woman, but the truth of the matter is that actually, to be a human on this earth, right, you actually are never 100% independent. As humans, we do need each other, we need other people, you know, and so I think even just the idea of independence is it's not fickle, but it's funny and has its layers and levels, because I do feel really deeply, it's like, is anyone truly independent? I think that most of us are intradependent to a lot of levels. As a member of society, we're always interacting with outside entities other than ourselves, institutions, okay, other people. So no one is truly alone, which is why it's super important to like regularly be growing your network, putting yourself in new spaces, branching out. Even I have some networking events that I have like coming up, because I am constantly aware. I'm not always free to do so, but, or like schedule wise, I mean, but I'm very aware of like how important it is to like always be trying to grow yourself, grow your network, grow the people that you're around, be bringing in fresh faces with fresh ideas, because you might meet someone who like literally flips your world upside down with just an idea that they have, or an idea that you have just by talking to this person. Everybody needs somebody. I do feel like independence doesn't necessarily mean that you're always standing alone, but it means that you can, that you know how, that you can function without the assistance of other people. But it doesn't mean that you're like not independent in the just because like you choose to utilize your network or utilize the help of other people in your life or whatever it is. I think there could be a lot of like mutual benefits to deciding that you are gonna be like in community with people. It's about that like reciprocity. A friend and I were talking the other night about how easy it is and how often we see other women giving up their independence because they think that that is what it's going to take to be able to keep a man around. Which is, it just feels really sad to me to even feel sad to me, but also is like kind of what we're getting in the larger conversation. Again, these like little gender war podcast bro conversations, right? Is that a lot of men would prefer that the women around them would sit down so that they can even just like have an opportunity at whatever it is, or so that they can like feel like a man, or you know, whatever it is they be saying. I'm not a podcast bro girly. I don't listen to nothing they got to say. But I know what they be over there saying. Personally, I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it's sustainable to throw your hopes and dreams, your aspirations, your hard work, girlies with degrees going outside. I don't think it's worth any of that, you know, just for the chance at having partnership that may or may not last. I know that like throughout this video I've been kind of jumping around between talking about like working scenarios, friendships, relationships, but I do think that there's a lot of aspects of this conversation that could like apply to a lot of different areas, and I hope that you kind of like got that as we were, you know, chopping it up. I hope you're like really into this more chill sit down. We're not really like doing the most here. I'm just kind of sharing my thoughts while I braid my hair. Anyway, I have reached the end of my little, you know, thoughts and opinions on this topic, but I am very curious and very open to hearing some feedback. Okay, so that's like good, bad, indifferent, okay, all the things. Open forum. I'm gonna finish my hair. Comment, rate, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.